11 is the Duffer Brothers' Manic Pixie Dream Child, and I want to talk about it. Plus, this was requested. And I also think realizing this explains why we got the ending that we did. So first off, let's talk about the Manic Pixie Dream Girl trope. She's quirky, she's eccentric, she's funny, she's exciting, she's everything the leading man is not. But it's important to know that she is not character, but simply catalyst that facilitates and somewhat forces the main character's growth. The main male character, that is. But there's a part of her that only he sees. She's a little broken, she's a little fragile, and usually she needs some saving herself. But back to Stranger Things. I think Elle is this trope, but she's a very specific version. I think Elle is the Manic Pixie Dream Girl fantasy of these young boys. Or maybe the fantasy the Duffer Brothers had at that age. Because if you think about this story, there are these nerdy boys, they're not being accepted, they're kind of bullied, and then one of them goes missing and Elle comes in to save the day. But she also needs Mike's help. So she is both savior and in needing of being saved. Of course, when you do this with a child character, it gets a little icky. While Elle is a child, she's also very stunted because she grew up in the lab. Her social skills are non-existent, her language skills are barely there. She doesn't understand a thing about society and is simply trying to find her place in the world despite her trauma. And the Duffer Brothers decide, let's do a kiss scene. Let's have Mike kiss her before she even knows her favorite color. Before she knows who she is, what the world is. Let's have her first true friendship be sexualized within the first season. But they're just two kids, right? Created by two grown adults. Now remember, the Duffer Brothers have said that if they didn't get a second season, they were going to have her sacrifice herself and not come back. But here's what's crazy to me. These men built up this character. We have grown to know her, to love her, to root for her. And in the end, one of the only things they knew about this season, as they were still writing it while they were filming, was that they wanted Elle to herself. They never changed their mind. They never grew. They never saw her as anything more than a plot device. To us, she was a beloved character. To them, she was childhood magic that we all needed to grow up from, that we had to leave behind. So is the curse of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl. There's a point at which she becomes inconvenient to Mike's character, so she's gotta go. I've said this before, but essentially she was their E.T. She was the magic, the lovable added character who's being hunted, but at the end she's gotta go home. And in this case, that means she's gotta... And she's not the only child or younger person put into a fantasy trope. Hopefully you all have made the connection, but Max is clearly the cool girl. She skateboards, she's fun, she's cool, and eventually the group wins her over and she becomes their friend. And then we have Nancy's story, which is she chooses the nerdy shy boy over the jock because she realizes he's really the one that cares about her. And you can say, but Steve had a whole arc. Steve was supposed to be himself, except the Duffer Brothers just like Joe Carey. And I'll give you another one. Remember this whole storyline where Mrs. Wheeler, who had never been anything besides your classic mom, got all sexified and almost had an affair with a teenager? Ugh. Again, a fantasy. And please don't be a weirdo saying like, oh, but he's so attractive. He would have been in high school. She's a mom. It's giving Sandlot. And then when they're done with a sexy storyline for her, they just shove her back into the mom category. Now, don't get me wrong. I love Max's character. I love 11. I love that Mrs. Wheeler is a badass with a wine bottle in this season. But you will notice that the depth of these characters doesn't come from the writing. It comes a lot from the acting. And I would argue that even this newest season, the reason we have more children and like a younger girl is because I don't think the Duffer Brothers can write for women in a way that is complex. They are archetypes. They are whatever the plot needs them to be. And when they no longer serve their purpose, they're expendable. Because the Duffer Brothers can spend a decade developing a story, including 11. And no matter what, she ends exactly how they planned for season 1. Because it's not about her. She's not a character to them. She's a means to an end. And interesting how brutal her end had to be. Ugh.